Okay, one of you, I saw one comment, asked me to recreate this beautiful lip on Margaret Qualley, done by Nina Park, none other than Nina Park. And I think it's absolutely beautiful, so I figured I would just do a quick little recreation for you guys. Obviously, I don't know exactly the products that she used, but this is my interpretation, so we're just gonna jump right into it. I personally, like, honestly, I think Nina, based on everything that I, like, have seen in terms of, like, products that she uses and stuff, I think she's just, like, a master at applying lipstick. I know she uses lip stains, but she's a master at applying lipstick and lip liners. I'm gonna start with a lip stain, just because I feel like it's the easiest way to achieve this. It is a little difficult. The lighting is very warm, so it's a tad bit difficult to know exactly like what the tone of the lip is. This is the Color Fetish Hydrating Lip Stain by Milani in the shade 130 Rose Rising. This is the color that I chose, right? All right, so what I'm gonna do, typically, I've mentioned this in other videos, when I use a lip stain, what I do is I'll like apply my foundation, then I'll apply my lip stain and let it sit for a while I'm doing my other makeup. What I'm gonna do is apply this and then we're just gonna let it sit off camera. Okay, so once again, Rose Rising. So I'm gonna overline ever so slightly the lip. Now I know this looks like kind of a berry shade right now. We're not gonna leave it on so long. The longer you leave them on, the more pigmented they'll be. And these are actually like a good pigmentation. But this does have a kind of a rose look to it. So I wiped off all my lip product before applying. You can go in with like a little bit of micellar water also if you feel like you're not getting enough out of your stain. Making sure that your lip is like fully clean really allows the product to like pigment the skin. So if you have any lip balm or anything like that, make sure that you're removing it first. Otherwise it's creating like a barrier, you know, it's an occlusive. So it's creating a barrier between the product and your skin. In terms of the tone that you choose, this was the closest that I could find. I did some swatches of all of my lip stains. For like kind of that like juicy, she has kind of like a juicy, your lips but better, slightly like she bit her lip look to the center of the lip. But like I said, the lighting is pretty warm. It's difficult to tell. We have very different skin tones. So like it depends on your skin tone. Obviously, if you have deeper skin, you have more pigmentation in your skin overall, you're gonna want something that's gonna be a little bit more vibrant so that you can get sort of that same like blushing effect. But I think it's better to go for something a little slightly more like rose than something like a little too warm, because if this ends up being like a little bit too pink, you can always kind of like manipulate the way it ends up by using like a slightly warmer lip liner, if that makes sense. Or you always have the option of like layering a gloss or another lipstick that's like slightly warmer to kind of tone down the cool tones. You know what I mean? So like if you're trying to get something exactly like a photo reference, just know that you have a little bit of wiggle room. You don't need the exact colors. You can do a little mixing. So I'm gonna give this, how long should I give this? I don't want it to be too dark. I'm gonna give this 8 minutes since it's been on for a second, and I'll be right back. Okay, it's been 8 minutes, so I'm gonna take my paper towel. I'm gonna blot. What did I say? I said I'm gonna blot. Okay. See that? That's pretty, I think, look at how cute that is. I need to start like making a little like art piece of those. I love them. Isn't that pretty? Just like super bitten, you know? Now this is a little bit on the rose side. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna use a slightly warmer lip liner to do my shaping. I'm literally trying to choose between like 4 lip liners right now. I'll link all of them down below because they're all like kind of my favorites right now. I think that's a little too dark. Been loving that. I think I'm gonna use the one liner from Tower 28. This is Work of Art. I'm gonna use this. 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 I'm gonna use this Because it's like, it's warmer, but it's not too orangey, which is what I want. If it doesn't end up being right, then we'll just layer something on top. Like a NYX Nude Beige. Did they change Nude Beige? I feel like that happened recently. I haven't used that in a really long time. But something along those lines would be kind of nice. So I'm gonna use this to overline my lips. Now, obviously, if you don't want to overline your lips, don't overline your lips. And I'm going to use this to shade the lip. So you can see that like as I'm lining, I'm kind of holding it against my skin, like flat against the skin, so that it's sort of blending into that lip stain. And you can line first and then go in and do that. You can do whatever works for you. Okay, so that adds a little bit more dimension. So same thing on the bottom. Okay, so on the top, I'm actually gonna build this up a little bit more, because I want that sort of like juicy bitten part to be right in the center. And the outer part is just a little bit more nude. Okay. Now, I am going to go in and do a little bit of blurring. Okay, so I'm gonna go in with my Rephr 03 brush. I'm gonna start on the bottom lip. And I just wanna soften that line. In the red version of this, I really overdid it and it was just like a little too much. So you just wanna go slow and just soften that line. And if you soften it a little too much, just go in and sharpen up any areas that you want. But this just really helps give it that sort of like lived in, like part of your face kind of look, you know? Make sure you're holding your brush like towards what you're blending. If I'm like holding it like this, then I'm gonna end up pulling product out into the rest of my face. I don't want that. So I want that blur to stay controlled, you know? So I'm just sort of slowly fuzzing that line. I'm gonna do that all the way around. So including the Cupid's bow. Can you see how it's just like softening so slightly? It just kind of removes that like harsh line that looks like it's just been popped on the face, you know? And that way it just sort of like blends a little bit better. Now, like my tutorial that I did recently, recreating a Nina Park makeup look, or a lip look. Actually, you know what? I'm looking at her. It's like pretty overlined. So she's got a real like pout going on the top. So I'm actually gonna build that up a little bit more on the top. And if you're nervous about overlining, like you love the way this looks, but like overlining your lips just looks so crazy to you, this next step that I'm gonna do after this blurring, it really just like makes the liner like sink into the skin. It's not gonna look like this, okay? We'll get there, don't worry. So again, just softly blurring, and I already did a little bit of blurring. You can see it underneath that a little bit already. So I don't need to overdo it. Okay. Now I'm gonna take my Smashbox powder. This is in the shade Always On. This is the Always On setting powder in the shade Translucent Light. For me, this is slightly warmer. It has like a little bit more of like an orangey yellow tone to it. You can see it's like a little dark for setting my face. Whenever I set my face, it just ends up making my skin look a little bit golden. I am quite light, pale, like I would be considered fair. So use something, you could even use like, maybe mix a little bit of your setting powder with a little bit of your bronzer to kind of like warm it up. But you want to use something that isn't going to be too light, otherwise it's going to make this look really ashy. So I'm going to use a little blending brush. So I'll use my Refer 02 brush, which is this little guy, which will be good for this. So I'm just going to dip into that powder, tapping it off. I don't want a ton. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to set that liner. So I'm actually going to go over the liner, but like a little bit onto the skin also. Now I started doing this a while ago because I don't like how lip liners often, like you can see the line, like I like to overline my lips. But you can see the line when you overline. So I started doing this to just sort of like blend that part into the skin and also just like set that liner. So can you see how you can see that line there? And over here, it just softens that line. And you can't even really tell that I overlined it over here. It sort of like minimizes that effect, but you still sort of like have that, the sculpting and that 3D, it maintains the 3D effect, but it just softens it a little bit. And obviously like the more you apply, it'll kind of tone it down. Isn't that beautiful? I love it. I think I applied like maybe a little bit too much. Probably only need to go in with like one pass, but I'm gonna do the top and the bottom just to make sure that that is nice and set. And this also helps it last forever. Gorgeous, isn't that so pretty? Beautiful, let me take a look at this. I think that's like not bad, you know? Even if the colors aren't perfect, we're in the family. We're in the family. Another thing you can do is a little extra contouring. You can use a shadow at the corners of the mouth. I might do that just since we're here. Why not? Ooh, actually my Patrick Ta palette. This is the, oh, Jesus. This is the Major Dimension Eyeshadow Palette 2. Major Dimension 2 eyeshadow palette. Gorgeous colors. I don't know why it's taken me so long to use this palette because it's so perfect for my coloring right now. Beautiful. So I'm actually gonna grab a little bit of this color and I might mix it with a little bit of this. And I'm just gonna use that same O2 brush. Yeah, I'm just gonna tap back and forth between the two. Tap it off on a paper towel. Just a tiny little bit right there. That actually might be a little saturated. This is unnecessary, but just remember that like you have the option to play around with stuff, you know? If you feel like you want to blur around the edges, you want to build something up, you want to soften something, like don't be afraid to use a little bit of an eyeshadow to like blend around the edges of the lip. This is gorgeous. I'm obsessed with this. It's so pretty. All right. Now, you can use a little bit of like a sheer lip balm, a sheer lipstick, a gloss. You can use whatever you want. She does have like moisture on the lips, you can tell, but I like to focus it basically like in the center of my lip where my lips tend to get a little bit dry, where you start to feel it. It also makes reapplication a lot easier. Remember, we have a lip stain on. It has stained our skin and we've set that lip liner. So if you're eating or something, generally you're not getting food all over your face. I don't know, I'm very careful when I eat, especially when I'm in public. Yeah, I'm just gonna use a little bit of my Lancino lip balm. But I am gonna apply it with a little brush. This is my Refer 21 brush, which is my favorite little brush to apply lip products. Focusing in the center and then just patting out. And you just wanna be careful not to like, we mattified the outer part of the lip. Let's not like go over it with lip balm. It's gonna undo everything that we did. So just be precise about your application. I think focusing it a little bit lower than you would think is helpful. All right, guys, that's the finished lip. I'm obsessed with this. Gorgeous, absolutely stunning, oh my God. It also was giving me, because I saw photos of her work on Zoe Kravitz recently for like all the press that Zoe Kravitz is doing. And I just feel like this tone right here is like the Zoe Kravitz look that I see so much, which I initially, like the reason that I did the deep dive with Nina Park in the beginning was I was just seeing like her makeup that she did on Zoe everywhere, and I was like, I am obsessed with this. Like I need to know what she's doing. Like I need to recreate this. So I feel like this is very much in that vein. All right, guys, new favorite lip combo. Obsessed with this. These Milani lip stands are so good. Like so good. I love them. I just love the like bitten look that they give your lips. It's stunning. I hope that you enjoyed. I hope that that one person who wanted to see this is happy. I saw your comment and I was like, wait, I want to know how to do that too. If you ever have any specific like lip recreations that you need to know about, let me know and I can always give you my interpretation. Obviously, I don't have any insider information. I have no idea what she actually used, but this is a way to get it. This is my way to get it. Thank you for watching. Give me your suggestions down below. And once again, let me know if there are any other makeup artists that you want to see me deep dive into. Otherwise, I'm probably just gonna do either Melanie Iglesias next or Lily Keys. I haven't decided yet. Okay, thank you so much. Fuck, where did it go? Bye.